So, making friends here in South Korea, is it hard to do? Can you make a lot of friends? Are people friendly here? What's that like? So, I'm going to talk about that. And I've been here for over a decade, in and out. And I've had many different types of friendships here in South Korea. And the majority of the friendships that I'm going to talk about are male to male friendships. Um, in general, for me, my decade of being here, my male to male friendships, they tend to just be for some purpose. It's rarely ever just like a pure friendship where I might call, I might send them texts and we chop it up and talk about just whatever, or have heart to heart or heart to heart or anything like that. It's typically some type of purpose where there's a special interest group, and I meet them and we only communicate just about the special interest group, and usually after the special interest group is the time is passed on that, usually the friendship is over. So that's kind of my experience with male to male friendships here in South Korea. And I guess that's unique to me because I've lived in about 6 or 7 different places here in South Korea. So I've moved often. I haven't lived. This is the place where I live now. I've lived here for 2.5 years. This is the longest I've ever lived in one place in South Korea. So typically, I should live in one place for a year, another place for a year and a half, another place for a year. So I guess naturally, friends would come and go if under those circumstances, and I guess with that, I guess that even gives you more insight about the nature of friendships here. When you make friends here, the friendships don't tend to go that deep, at least in my experience. I don't know, maybe it's me, and it's me talking, so I'm telling you my perspective. Um, the friendships don't really tend to go that deep from what I've experienced. It's kind of like once you're gone, you're gone. Once you're separate, you're gone. People don't stay in touch and check on you. Like when I'm I guess you need something to compare it to. Like I've lived in Japan also, and when living in Japan, I have people. Even though I was there a long time ago, like eight years ago, even to this day, even through social media, I have people that still kind of stay in touch with me. They'll still they're not they haven't become a stranger. We can still talk, or we can still send a message or something. It won't be weird. But here, not so much. It's kind of like when the the close contact relationship is finished, then it's kind of the relationship's kind of finished. It's kind of over. It just kind of happens like that for me. But having friendships here in South Korea, the friendships tend to be intense while you have them. So I guess they burn bright on the front end, and then they just kind of go away, or they kind of just phase out pretty quickly when it's time for them to finish. Because I'll think back to friendships that I've had here, and like what they consisted of, and what did we do. Um, uh, the first couple of years that I lived here, which is a decade ago, like 2011, 2013. Um, the majority of my friends were foreign people, and the Korean people that I met were through foreign people or through special interest groups. Like I had a hiking group, I had a tourism group. I had went to there's a group for foreigners. But back a decade ago, it was black foreigners, or foreigners that are black skinned foreigners. There's actually a group. Um, there was a group for just like a nature group, or a group that goes to just, there's different special interest groups, and this is where I would meet the majority of the friends that I picked up in Korea, and the majority will be foreigners, and every now and then it will be Korean people. But if I did like the few Korean people, it would be rare that I would have like a Korean friend where we had a relationship where we could we communicated back and forth on to with any type of consistency. So, my experiences with like male guy Korean friends, it's very limited. So yeah. So other male Korean friends happen also through work. And again, for me, my work happens like a year at a time, usually a year at a time, year and a half at a time. And for this job, 2.5 years, and I'll tend to make male friends through my job, and with that, if you have a male friend through your job, you may end up having coffee or tea with them outside of work or something like this, and you may connect like this, or occasionally, not occasionally, but here and there, you may end up in like some like hey, come hang out with us, this weekend or this day of the week, and you just somehow just end up with a group of people hanging out, and just you hang with the fellas or something like this. But it's rarely ever planned. It's rarely ever I'm part of the group, and it's just kind of usually pretty spontaneous. Other male friends. Like now I have yeah. So through work, male. A lot of my male friends are through work, and a lot of them are other foreigners for obvious reasons, because we can communicate with each other well. That's the primary reason. It's not because I prefer other foreigners over national people here. It's just a matter of communication. I guess if the communication was better, then I would have more Korean friends. As far as Korean female friends, I've had just a couple of Korean friends that were platonic Korean female friends, and again, it's through special interest groups, and even with those relationships tended to be more hands-on than the Korean male friend relationships. Like we actually exchange, and we actually have a real conversation and talk about stuff and communicate through text message or whatever, or may even actually pick up the phone, and it's a platonic relationship where no one wants anything. And but those were even more sparse than the male friendships. Majority again are other foreigners, and it all depends on where I live. I've lived in 6 different places here in South Korea, and each place has its own social dynamic, and the people have their own way that they conduct their society in that area, the way they move in that whole area. So it all depends on where you go, and what the environment's like, and what the social atmosphere is like, and how you connect and connect with people. Also, let's see. So for me, the majority of friends, they happen through social. So typically for overall for me, my friendships happen through social groups, and especially with the male friends, the relationships end when the social meet groups end. So if I do hiking group, when I did the hiking group for a couple of years, those relationships stayed in that time frame. At one point I was doing a language exchange group where learn the language, and talk with people. I had friends there, but those friends only lasted during the span of that time of doing that. So it all depends on the special interest you have. So if you want, I guess my advice is if you want to make friends here in this country, you want to become part of some type of social or special interest group, and where you actually end up talking to people, and you actually end up seeing what you have in common, and you realizing and just understanding that you both are just people, and you're similar, and you like each other. You're cool with each other. Hanging. What else? Hanging out with opposite sex friends. I've as far as like hanging out with a friend of opposite sex. It gets here image is pretty important, and how so people really pay attention to how they present themselves in public, and how it looks to other people, because everyone's really about saving face, and preserving and having a certain image is really important. I guess it affects your money, so I guess people really protect it, and I guess I understand that, and it's just the cultural dynamic of this country, and it's just the way it is, and I accept it, even though it's not my thing. I'm too free. My mind's way too free for all of that. But with like you could have like a female. I've had platonic female friendships, like even married females, where we would go and have a coffee and talk and stuff. Just straight platonic, or just usually it would be coffee or tea, or some type of setup like that. Nothing, rarely anything beyond that. And friends. So I guess with age, that whole thing changes a bit. Again, I came here when I was kind of young, and now I'm kind of old, so I see both ends of it. When I was kind of young, I looked really, really young, so I could just blend in with whomever. Now it's pretty distinct that I'm a part of this group and not that group. So the whole dynamic is changing on that, and friends being young and friends being older. Right. So I'll start with right now. Right now I'm older, so I have friends. I have closer friends now, male friends now, because now I have friends much older than me now. Like, especially where I live, it's a rural area, and there's lots of older people here. I have friends 15, 20 years older than me, and I'll go to their home and hang out with them and their wife, and we just talk about stuff, or may have a drink or something, and it's way more of an option now at this point in my life, and versus when I was younger, and like with friends, it didn't get that intimate. We didn't get to the point where we could spend time like that, and it was pretty much they did their thing, I did mine, and I'm not necessarily saying it's just them separating themselves. It's probably me separating myself, because I'm younger, I got my own life, and just a lot of stuff going on anyway that I would much rather do than hang out with you, and you probably feel the same way. So it's kind of like that. So right. So now that I'm older, I'm seeing that other older people, or people older than me, they're accommodating, and they want to welcome you in, and kind of experience you and see what you're all about, and be friendly. So yeah, that's my video on friendships here in South Korea. I've been here for a little bit over a decade. So if you have any comments, questions, feel free to drop them. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Take care of yourself, and I'm gone.